Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're so excited to have you here with us today. We're looking forward to our discussion with our panelists, and we're looking forward to having you here. So we're going to go ahead and have a minute, let everyone get logged in, get settled in, get ready to learn some stuff.
Good morning, Aubrey.
Think we're gonna get some snow here in Vancouver.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're so excited to have you here with us today.
We got some last night.
Really?
Did you get some on your side?
Yeah, it snowed here.
Yeah, it was like an hour or something. Yeah, and kind of sporadic, little waves of snow.
Yeah, and it was kind of heavy for a hot minute there. I was like, whoo.
I know the kids would
Snow?
love it if it stuck, so, crossing fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Luna kept coming in, looking out the window, going, is it still snowing? Is it still snowing? Like it is, but it's not going to stay. You're going to school tomorrow.
All right, now we're all settled in there. Go ahead and give it one more minute before we start our introductions.
How's your morning going, Miss Aubrey?
Oh, good. Just settling in. Had a little bit of the surround sound happening there for a moment, but got that sorted out quickly.
Technology issues, always fun.
Coming at you in 60. No. All righty.
I think we're live on multiple channels, right? Which channels are we live on?
Should be Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube.
Yep, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram.
Perfect.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. So welcome to our panel discussion today. This is the Digital Marketing Mastery for Trends and Strategies for 2025. We're super excited to have you guys all here. We're going to be exploring the future of digital marketing. Today, we're going to be diving into key trends, innovative strategies, what's happening and shaping the industry right now in 2025. But before we look ahead, we're going to take a moment to reflect on the biggest lessons and successes from last year. And I am Aubrey, and I'm going to be guiding today's discussion alongside the Web4 team, who is our expert panelists today. So we're going to do a quick round of introductions. So panelists, I'm going to start with you, Michael. Can you please share a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'll keep it short, knowing we have limited time here, but I'm Michael Patrick Cortez, excited to be on the panel today. I'm the marketing manager over here at Web4, SEO and data geek, lover of AI and semantic search, and really anything digital. So, excited for this fun convo, kind of dig into what we saw last year and talk about, what to expect for the upcoming year and how to stay ahead of the curve. So, thank you, Aubrey. Excited for the panel.
And now I'm going to kick it up to Tricia.
Hey, thanks, Aubrey. I'm Tricia Davis-Payne, Director of Accounts and partner here at Web4. I'm super excited about this discussion. I think this is my third time being on a panel asking what's going to be happening in the next year. And every year it changes dramatically. So this will be a fun discussion. I'm excited.
And then finally, I'm going to kick it down to Jason.
Hello, everybody, and thanks, Aubrey. My name is Jason Wright. I'm President Creative Director here at Web4. Been in the industry for about 18-ish years, something like that. A long time. And I'm excited to have this discussion. I kind of want to do the Brady Bunch thing because, Aubrey's above me, and I want to look up and do the whole... Anyway, I'm excited to be here, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you guys for all introducing yourself. I'm so looking forward to this. I am going to start with reflecting on 2024. So Jason, I'll start with you. What was the most surprising digital marketing trend or strategy that you saw that emerged in 2024?
That's a great question. I'm not sure that there's any single event that stands out to me, aside from folks leveraging artificial intelligence to do more work. And I think it's an interesting trend in that some folks are leveraging AI tools more than others, and lots of people don't know how to use them appropriately, resulting in negative impacts for their brand. or just sort of throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something amazing happens. I think last year we saw a lot of turmoil in the social media landscape. There's a lot of changes on platforms. There's changing of guards, changing of standards, changing of post types, and you're going to see social continue to grow. LinkedIn just launched their video features, or their reels essentially, on their platform, and videos where it's at. But the problem there is that it's such a complicated thing to produce and publish and share on a regular basis that it makes it really challenging for brands to maintain. At the end of the day, organic SEO is still the bread and butter for most businesses. It still has the lowest cost per acquisition across the board. And I think we'll continue to see growth on the SEO side. But now we need to look at how AI is going to influence that space over the next year.
Yeah, just to add on to what Jason said there, he made so many great points, and I wanted to kind of pick a number of those things out, but I'll go with kind of his last thought there is, as SEOs or digital marketers now, we're not only optimizing for organic, we're also optimizing for all these language models and all these AI models, and that's really a critical evolution of digital marketing, and really making sure you're kind of future proofing yourself and staying at the forefront of really the industry, because that's going to become a bigger and bigger part of the role, especially as we see more and more traffic come in from these AI engines. We're already seeing a ton of that with our clientele.
While you have the floor, Michael, what do you think were some of the biggest lessons that were learned in 2024 for digital marketers?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jason kind of touched on quite a few of these, actually. AI is obviously a big one. I mean, we saw continued growth. Chat or OpenAI just put out their video model, Sora, just a number of months ago, and that is extremely, extremely impressive, the capabilities there. So really a continued evolution of growth of AI LLM models. We're seeing DeepSeek. They just came out a couple weeks ago, although there's some, back and forth in the industry because it's not a US-based tool of privacy concerns and things like that. But the low cost to create that model, I think it was 7 million compared to 5 billion that ChatGPT was used to train, right? The low cost to train the models, and really just how impressive they are, how powerful they are. We're seeing more and more powerful AI models for cheaper cost, and that means a lower barrier to entry to the market. And ultimately, more people are going to be using the tools. So I feel like I got a little off kilter there, but AI is definitely a big one. Short form video, Jason mentioned that as well. I think that's huge. Even with all the back and forth that we saw with TikTok and not knowing what's to come in that space, obviously there will be another social platform to replace it if it does get banned in the US. But short form video is huge, across YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, really all the platforms now. And then, a big one in my mind, kind of the third one, and I'll stop here, is just data privacy, first party data, and really, how we're collecting data, and then how we're, what analytics tools we're using for that data. So as cookies get phased out and less data is available to really understand what is that attribution, right? Marketers have to get smarter and really more intelligent about how we're using our data and really the insights we're drawing from our data. So in my opinion, marketers who have a proactive strategy for their first party data and have effective ways to actually measure attribution are going to be better informed, and ultimately, have a step up in the game, kind of a competitive advantage in that space. So really that evolution from cookieless to, what's next is going to be huge for the industry.
That was very informative. Thank you. And Tricia, I'm going to direct this next question at you. Can you share with us an example of a successful campaign or a tactic that stood out to you this last year?
Oh, yeah, last year was huge shifts in data, which Michael just touched on. That to me was, kind of the thing that we had to assimilate and adapt to very quickly in 2024. So factors that impacted how data is captured and analyzed is what comes top of mind to me. So like cookie consent, which Michael just touched on, really impacted this space. Like how you look at traffic data today and compare it to the month before you put cookie consent on your website or a year ago when it didn't exist on your site. Those data models aren't going to match up. You're not really looking at apples to apples anymore. So how you look at traffic data today is very different. You simply can't trust that you have a full picture anymore. It really created a hot mess, actually, but the traffic is still there, right? It's the tracking that has changed now. So we have to look at other areas to assess the growth of metrics when it comes to website traffic. So in 2024, we started, we've always been looking at these things, but having a more deeper attachment to things like session engagement rates, like how are users engaging with your website, right? I look at organic impressions and clicks. Google Search Console plays a big role for data analysis there. Ultimately, lead growth is and always will be one of the most important metrics, but understanding close rates, of course, shopping cart journey, user experience becomes a much deeper part of how this data all plays together with these changes. I think another big shift in 2024 was the AI overview space in the SERP results pages, right? That launched in May, I want to say, of 2024. That's when it became publicly available. Before it was in beta, right, as SGE. But this really shifted the experience on Google dramatically, along with some other factors, right, with the algorithm changes. So keyword visibility is a data metric that we've always communicated on, and clients have always tied KPIs to growing their visibility in that space. So how you look at keyword visibility is similar to traffic these days. Like you don't get the full picture. So you might see keyword ranking, say, keyword rankings are down or traffic is down, but actually it might not be, or it could be. So you need to measure other areas to look more deeply at things like, are you satisfying the user intent? Are you providing a better experience to the user so that you can grow your leads and your close rate by, adjusting those spaces instead of just looking at, did I get more traffic? Do I have more keyword visibility? Really, at the end of the day, it could be lower, but you could be closing more business.
Yeah, just to kind of touch on that, Rand Fishkin has a 0-click presentation that I think he's been blasting out there to the whole industry. And I've listened to it a couple times, and some of the data and statistics that he shares around, that evolution of how people were clicking to how they are clicking now, it's a drastic difference. And, something like the top 100 websites capture like 90% of the traffic, the organic traffic in the world, right? So we're really fighting for like 10% of that traffic, and then of 10% of that traffic, 50% no click. So really the evolution of how SERPs, people are interacting with SERPs, and really how your brand should be showing up is just completely changed, as Tricia alluded to there. So yeah, I couldn't agree with that more, Tricia.
Yeah, that was very informative as well. Thank you so much, Tricia, for that. And Jason, this next question is going to be for you. We're going to go ahead and switch to looking ahead for 2025. What are some emerging trends that you anticipate that are going to be like dominating the digital marketing landscape?
Well, it's a little bit challenging here because there's two sides of the equation. There's the marketer, and then there's the marketing manager or business owner. And 2025 is going to be an interesting time for us, really these next 5 to 10 years, as AI becomes a really big component of what we do day to day. SurveyMonkey put out a poll, and 88% of marketers said they're integrating AI into what they do day to day. And that's resulting in an increase of about 65% in productivity. So I think one of the things that we have to think about as marketers is how we're going to use and leverage tools not as replacements for our duties, but as assistants to what we already do. For example, it can be as silly as fixing a spreadsheet. Can't figure out a formula. Once you do, though, that will open the floodgates for better organization of data, better understanding of content architecture, mass creation of certain elements for certain sections of a website. So I think in terms of the marketer just using tools to become more productive is the main thing. Finding ways to leverage those things to get more done. And I think from the business owner side, business owners are already expecting that. And that's always been there. And now business owners are becoming more aware of these tools, and they're wondering how they're being leveraged. They're wondering what their partner is doing to manage the changes in search results and whatnot. And the AI overviews and things are getting plugged in. They're seeing headlines and they're seeing these clickbaity things. They're seeing news articles that say AI has taken over the world. And it's not really about that. It's about how we can use those tools to implement better strategies and ultimately become better strategic thinkers. And at the end of the day, this is about sales. So the work that marketers do need to drive sales. That can be calls, it could be buying something, it could be a form fill, it could be attending an event. It's sales. So at the end of the day, we need to align these emerging technologies with our goals and execute accordingly.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you for sharing. As we're discussing AI, I'm going to direct this next question at Tricia. How do you see AI and machine learning further evolving in the digital marketing strategies into 2025?
Well, I mean, strategy is about digging in and knowing and loving your customer, right? So understanding your KPIs, how you define success. I mean, that's strategy. So how AI and machine learning are going to evolve that space is really, I mean, it's going to continue to grow, right? In capabilities, but also in general consumption. People generally are going to get better at understanding how to acclimate to these spaces and use them as tools to enhance their life, create efficiencies, to take care of mundane tasks or educate them or search, all those things, right? So I think you have to really be tuned into the customer journey. At the end of the day, that hasn't changed and that won't change. The customer journey will change, but you have to be tuned into it. That hasn't changed, right? So finding solutions to their problems in spaces that that you're not currently in, or you may not even know about, right? So are they using AI tools for search? They actually are. I'm starting to use it more and more myself because I get better results and more things consolidated. So I don't have to click through 5 links to get 5 pieces of information. The information's right there with links to where that information came from, of course, right? But I think that is something that we need to be thinking about as digital marketing, agencies, marketers, marketing managers, CMOs. All of us need to be thinking about how we meet the customer on their journey and what's changed about that journey.
And then this one goes to Michael, kind of a little bit of a follow-up questions as far as when you were talking about, Tricia, you were just talking about different tools. So Michael, are there any upcoming platforms or tools that you believe that marketers should invest in early?
Yeah, great question, Aubrey. Definitely have some thoughts here. Wanted to touch on what Tricia said first, because, as an SEO, that's such a tough thing to become okay with, of just that giant transition of how people search and how people look for information. And you're not the first person I've heard say it, that they're switching from Google to ChatGPT because it gives a better answer, and I get the stuff sooner. So I just think that is really something that everybody needs to be paying attention to, because if we're seeing multiple people already shift how they're searching, what tools they're using, well, as digital marketers, I think we need to be proactive about that, and really understanding that we don't need to be thinking about a year in advance how we're optimizing for this LLM model or this, this tool, we need to be thinking now, because people are already shifting their habits and how the tools they're using today and yesterday. So just something for everybody out there. This is not something to think about in 3 months. This is something to have baked into your strategy right now, and to really be executing on, and to make sure you're an expert in and understand how to better show up in these tools, how to get your business visible in these tools, so you're not, losing out on market share, and, not losing out on a bunch of opportunities. So just a caveat there for want to add on to what Tricia said. I loved it, Tricia, but as an SEO, it does pain me to hear people are already like, oh, I'm going away from Google. It's like, no, guys, no. But, that's adaptability, and that's what we all have to have as digital marketers. So love it. A couple spaces really on the tool front, Aubrey. Caveat here, we are in the early infancy of AI. And, what tools were out there last year, there's some, I'll name one of them, like Jasper was an AI writing tool that's almost kind of got forgotten about in some ways. It's still out there, but, a number of tools have came on that are already stronger, have better AI capabilities. So you're seeing, every month new AI tools come out. We have Gemini Advanced now linked up through our workspace, tied into everything from Gmail to Google Docs to everything in between. So these tools are continuing to grow and grow and grow. So it is difficult to give a specific recommendation today, because in 6 months, these AI tools are going to be so much more advanced, and more than likely Google's going to really integrate most of the stuff into their services. But there's definitely a couple places we should be investing as digital marketers. And one is really looking at, are there AI agents out there that really can achieve things we need to do, such as, what Tricia was mentioning, personalized customer journey mapping, like predictive analytics, personalization, or even things like keyword mapping, competitive analysis, right? Are there actual AI agents that can be streamlining what we're doing today, or the processes you're doing today at your business, to help you be more efficient, and really exponentially increase your productivity, right? So that is one big place I see businesses, agencies, really everybody needing to stay at the forefront of the industry and making sure they're keeping a competitive advantage by integrating AI agents. And Google recently released it. I think ChatGPT released it like a week later. Deep Research is an example of this. They use basically headless browsers to go automate tasks for you. So you could tell it to go, do competitor analysis on X number of search terms, and it will actually go out there and replicate a search for you, pull the competitor list for you, analyze the content. So it's getting much deeper than just prompt response, right? Than just answer guess engine. It's getting much more advanced when we talk about agent integration. So that's a big space I see, really every business needing to invest. There's some low-code platforms you can do some similar stuff with out there. There's also Hugging Face is another AI API platform where you can integrate and use, multiple AI platforms in RAG systems, retrieval augmented generation systems, to basically connect these different platforms. So investing in that space could be a game changer for a number of businesses, and really just a huge productivity and efficiency increase across the board. And I've kind of alluded to this a number of times. My second one here, we saw a shakeup in the industry a couple weeks back. Like all the tools lost tracking for a number of days. It was like a week there or something, and like all the keywords lost, and couldn't track Google anymore, and couldn't track these other tools. So AI visibility trackers, because really Google's just one portion of that, right? So you're talking about Perplexity, OpenAI tools. You're talking about, all of these other tools that are out, Anthropic, like all these other tools that are out there, right? So you want to make sure that you have understanding of where you're visible and where you're not visible across these tools. So having a tool that shows you what your visibility is across AI trackers, not just Google, is going to be critical to really understanding, how you're performing there, drawing insights to ultimately help your strategy there from improving your visibility in AI tools and language model tools. So those would be my two recommendations: AI agents or deep research agents, RAG possibly if it works correctly, and AI visibility trackers, because I think that's going to be a huge part of it. Because we got to know when we're showing up and when we're not showing up, when our competitors are showing up in Chat GPT and when we're not.
Thank you. That was a bunch of information.
I want to
Sorry.
add a thing here to what
yes.
Michael was saying and the question you asked me, because obviously AI is going to dominate this conversation. It can't be avoided. It is in the forefront, but there are other things changing too in the customer journey, right? So social search needs to be something that marketers and businesses and brands need to be thinking about. I mean, more than half of my daughter's Christmas list this year came from products you can only buy on TikTok. So demographics, depending on who they are and what age group they're in and where they spend their time, is going to become a platform where they spend time searching as well. They're not going to Google. So as marketers and brands, we have to be thinking about, that's where it comes back to really understanding who your ideal customer is and how they find things so you can meet them in that space. So I know we're going to talk a lot about AI, but that came to mind as something that we can't forget about.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, and you took the words right out of my mouth, Tricia. That I was going to touch on that as well, because right now, it was a Google study that 40% of Gen Z prefers TikTok or Instagram over Google search. So the thing that you got to remember, y'all, is just because it works now doesn't mean it works forever. And what happens to business owners, what happens to marketers, is we just keep sitting on the thing that works. It's the comfy couch. There's some holes in it. There's stuffing coming out. The dog's ruined it. But we keep sitting there because it's the place where we sit. It's where we watch. But we got to replace the couch. We got to be thinking about adding other furniture. We got to be thinking about expansion, because that's how you're going to succeed long term. Those people who are 16 right now or 17 right now, leveraging, they're part of that 40% using social media. Well, in 5 years, they could be a business owner or less. And now they're looking for a marketing agency. They're checking TikTok or Instagram first. They're social proofing, and then they're going from there. So, yeah, just great point to add there, Tricia. It's something that I know that the conversation's dominated by AI right now, and also in our space. That's where a lot of the conversation is, and we have to be careful, because it's getting focused on that shiny object, and then we all focus on the shiny object. AI is a certain element of what we do, but there are a significant number of other things that are just as critical.
Yeah, that was a great lead-in, actually, to the next question for Tricia. How do you recommend balancing the human touch in campaigns and automation? How do we walk that line?
So automation is just about making things easier, right? AI is just predicting. It's not thinking. It's just giving you more time to think. It's allowing you to be more responsive, because, I remember the days where you would look at actual recordings of heat mapping of users on a website. And I mean, video after video, just so you could kind of understand what they're doing and what you're getting wrong in that user experience. Now you have clarity with AI integration, a free tool, and it analyzes thousands of visits and churns it all up and gives you great information, like things like rage clicks, like where they're, clicking on something where they're expecting something to happen and nothing's happening, right? Or how many pages they're visiting before they take an action. It could be a phone call and you've got tracking following that, or it could be form fills or whatever, buying something if you're in e-commerce space. The other thing that's interesting about automation and the human touch is chatbots. So this is a huge growing industry, because machine learning large language models have the ability to now present as humans and be available 24/7. So you can now be interacting with your audience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And AI is being used to take all of the information it knows about you and that it learns about you along the way and interact with your human customers as if they were also human. It's pretty powerful stuff, and it's probably one of the largest growing spaces for e-commerce investments right now.
Can I just add real briefly? It's really funny you mentioned chatbots because I was thinking about this the other day. It feels like we're entering the era of Star Wars where it's funny because on some businesses you'll see now, we don't use AI. You're talking to a real human. It's like no sense allowed here. This is a no droids section. So it's going to be interesting how, like, bots are really powerful and AI agents are really powerful, but you're also going to see the rise of customer service again and that human aspect. Like, those human connections are required for us to be successful as humans. So, that's not going to go away anytime soon, but it's just, it's part of what we do in this space. The needle goes in different directions constantly, and we keep evolving as a result.
On that, Tricia, back to you. I have a question. What are the KPIs that marketers should prioritize in 2025?
Well, I think that hasn't really changed much, right? I mean, the top KPIs always drive more business, right? Or another top one I always hear is, improve profit margins, right? So that means if you're investing in digital marketing spaces, you want, to maximize the lowest cost per click to the most important visibility spaces so that you can get more business, close more deals for a lower cost. So those are going to be two KPIs that aren't going to go away. It's the metrics you measure that inform those KPIs that is changing, right? So I still look at keyword visibility and traffic. I don't mean to dismiss those two spaces. They're still important, but it's never truly accurate. So it's more about analyzing trends. UX data from tools like Clarity that I just mentioned, that record heat mapping and all that stuff, and then AI assesses those things for user journey is very, very important. So improving user experience is an important KPI that is tied to those, top KPIs of driving more business. Session engagement out of GA4 is also a very valuable space that ties into that UX area too. So that's an important one. I guess the other thing that comes to mind is attribution modeling in GA4. This is a place that is really critical to data analysis to improve those KPIs. So understanding how to build custom data analysis in GA4, which is, it's mind-blowing how cool it is, but it's complicated to unpack it and learn it. And you got to know what data to look at to inform how do I improve my profit margins? How do I, what channels am I being found on? What channels are my customer on so that I can drive those KPIs? But I don't think that priority has changed much in 2025. I think it's still the same that way.
And this next question, I'm going to shoot over to Jason again. So how can a smaller business stay competitive? If they have limited budgets, it's a rapidly evolving landscape, what do we do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, first of all, deep breath. It's hard out there. It's very competitive, depending on your, specific industry. There's a lot of competitors around in your local area, but there's always opportunities. So the second thing I would say is knowledge is power. And what's really important in terms of growing your own marketing, and you're thinking about partnership with an agency or individual or whoever it is very important that you educate yourself on what quality marketing looks like, what quality tactic implementation looks like, specifically organic SEO. I cannot tell you the number of times I talk with someone, they explain that they want to increase rankings. They don't know why it's not increasing. They have a current partner. They pay X amount. I do one quick scan that took me 4.5 minutes to run. Clearly, the base foundational sort of SEO things aren't complete. So knowledge is power. Understanding what good marketing looks like is really important. If you're not in a place that you can, hire an agency or a partner, think about what search engines look for, what humans look for in the context of your website and architecture. At the end of the day, your website is your house. If you don't have all of the right foundational elements there, your house isn't going to stand. So you need to make sure you've got the right frame, the right walls, the right coating, the right roofing, so that you're well insulated. So think about content generation, think about services. Don't just have a general service page on your website. Break down your services. If you are a roofer, think about the material types you provide. Think about all of the services that go into roofing: tear off, repair, installation, new roof installation, all of those sort of things. Break that down to its smallest parts and incorporate that content into your website. But don't copy and paste out of AI. Don't go to AI and say, write 500 words about roofing. That is a big, big no-no. So patience, knowledge, breathe. And at the end of the day, if you do look for a partner, find the right one and do that by asking the right questions.
That was a great answer. Thank you for that. One more question to you before I switch gears a little bit. Jason, what are some creative ways to apply these lessons that we learned in 2024 to future campaigns?
Last year was tough for a lot of businesses. Not all industries were impacted, but there are a lot of businesses that were. They had to figure out how to get lean and mean, how to become more efficient with less, and execute accordingly. So I would say that this answer is part of my last answer for the previous question, which is just patience. Like, marketing doesn't happen overnight. If you're doing it yourself, or an agency or a sole proprietor is working on something for you, it's not going to happen overnight. Your organic growth is not going to happen in 5 days or 1 month or 3 months. It could take 6 to 12 months, depending on your industry and competitiveness. It could take 90 days. So I think it ties to that last question and answer. Find the right partner, then be patient and know how to measure and understand performance. I can't stress enough that becoming more knowledgeable in this space is critically important, so that you're not taken advantage of in 2025 and beyond.
Thank you for that. Now I'm going to shoot over to Michael. How do you suggest that marketers stay agile in adapting, like, to unexpected challenges in 2025?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll sum up with no, I'm just kidding. I was going to say use AI, but I have a little bit of a different take on that. I think it's pretty critical that really, no matter what organization or business you are, that you're really building a culture that's focused on experimentation and learning. Testing, tinkering, finding out, what tools are going to help you be more efficient, are going to help you streamline things. And, they're not all going to be big wins, right? And they're not all going to be perfect fits. But if you're embracing that culture and really focusing on, learning and really focusing on testing, ultimately you're going to be better for it. You're going to keep a competitive advantage. You're going to kind of position yourself as a leader in that space, because you're constantly tinkering, constantly testing, constantly experimenting. So really, I think that's, from a cultural perspective, that's one of the biggest things that organizations can be doing, and really any digital marketer out there should be doing. There's all sorts of newsletters, all sorts of things that you should be staying up to date on, LinkedIn, all the latest info coming out. But really testing, experimenting, that's how you're going to, gain a lot of knowledge, firsthand knowledge, really firsthand expertise So I recommend to just kind of build that into your culture. Also, something else that can kind of keep you kind of as an expert and with a little bit of an advantage. Digital marketers who are able to who have strong data analysis skills and are able to draw correlations or trends among data and really ultimately build the tools to analyze the data in the right way to answer the right questions that they're asking, right? Those are really the marketers that are going to position themselves to win. And really, I've said this a number of times already, but kind of keep a competitive advantage, because if you know what questions to ask and then you know how to build the tools or the reporting tools to get answers to those questions and ultimately, close that attribution gap or whatever your ultimate goal is there, right? That's going to be just so critical for your organization. So data analysis, even with all these AI tools, is such an important, critical thing for an organization today. And then, the final thing I'll say here for any digital marketer, for any agency, for any business, is just communication and collaboration. It's really critical to make sure that teams are working together, and that ultimately we're helping grow the organization in the correct way. And that we're supporting each other's success, right? Because maybe there's times where, one team member has a tool that can help automate a process for another team member and save them hours, or a little tip on how to save, be more efficient and streamline things. So really communication, collaboration across an organization is just critical, even more critical today with some of the uncertainty and the constant change we're experiencing in digital marketing.
And you keep mentioning, tools or sharing tools, using tools. Which tools, Michael, or technologies do you think are going to become indispensable in 2025?
I don't think okay. I got to preface this with, I am, constantly on the lookout for kind of the next big thing, because I do think we're 6 months to a year away from some pretty insane jumps in LLM technology, and really specifically kind of like I was alluding to, that deep research, that agent technology, because that's where it gets past just a prompt response, and where it can actually really truly automate processes for us. So AI agents, I think, or DAOs, as Kevin, founder of Web4, has alluded to a number of times, right? Those are two big spaces. But AI agents I see being such a critical thing for the future. Now, as far as what tools right now, I think a lot of the tools are going to be, integrating much of this AI technology in. I've already mentioned Gemini Advanced, Gemini 2.0. They are integrating, they're going to be integrating deep research and a lot of other AI systems to really kind of bring it into one ecosystem. So your Gmail's connected to your calendars, and your calendars connected to Gemini, and you're able to really integrate inside a single ecosystem. So I think a lot of these tools that are already out there will be integrating more and more AI technology. I don't know if it's necessarily something like go invest in, Hugging Face right now and build out a bunch of RAG tools for your organization. That could be great, but in 6 months, a lot of these new AI agents could overtake that, and they could become really old news really quickly. So just be thoughtful. But as far as for organizations just getting into it, testing things like building custom GPTs, with Anthropic, you can actually build like customer-facing apps now. I'm trying to think of what Anthropic's verbiage is for that, but you can look into it. Artifacts, I think it's artifacts for Anthropic. So artifacts for Anthropic, custom GPTs on OpenAI, just building some of these little AI tools for specific use cases. Those could be a good kind of first step in the door to introduce yourself to some of this technology. But a lot of the other tools I think will integrate more and more as we see, the SEM rushes and the Ahrefs and Google Search Consoles and Google Analytics 4 and the whole G Suite. So that's kind of hopefully a decent answer to that. My thoughts.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much. I'm going to have this next question go over to Tricia. Tricia, how can marketers better leverage data analytics to improve their campaign performances?
Well, it's funny that you asked that. I feel like Jason and Michael and I are sharing the same brain right now. Michael just said a really important statement. You gotta be asking the right questions, right? That is so important to data analysis. So how do you better leverage data analytics? So you got to understand what the data is telling you. That's first. That's always been true. What's changed is how quickly we can access that data and adapt to it. So make changes to it, right? So for brands, this is huge because you know what might have taken 6 months to analyze and consume and make decisions about and then make changes to for the user experience can now be done in a matter of days because the data, you can crunch it so much faster. And if you know the right questions to ask and what to look at, you can make very quick decisions, right? So as a marketer, I would say understanding what data to evaluate. Customers are regularly asking new questions in my environment. Anyways, like AI is like, I get it in almost every client-facing meeting. They want to know, how can I get found on AI overviews? How does that work? How is Gemini going to impact my business? What's Perplexity? How do I get found on it? And so as marketers, you need to understand those spaces. So you need to know what they are. You need to know how to use them. And then you need to know how to advise your clients on how to integrate them and be found on them. And then you need to know how to test and measure the data. So it's pretty complex, but it starts with understanding. And then it starts with testing and, just keeping your pulse on what's happening. So I think Jason touched on this earlier too in one of his questions about kind of the whole bad actor scene that lives in the digital marketing space. That's been true for 20 years, by the way. Integrity is something that really needs to be more heavily present in our industry. So for brands and marketers, we really need to be experts in the space and asking the right questions and being able to kind of showcase your skills and not, having customers invest. I mean, these things aren't cheap. So when you invest for 6 months in growing your business and it doesn't grow, that's hugely impactful. So kind of tying back to what Jason said, where it's really about, being an expert in the changes that are happening in this space, understanding how e-commerce plays a role in social search, just really understanding that space so that you can be better at advising and be a champion for the clients you're working to grow their business for.
That was great. Thank you so much. I am going to shoot over to Jason now. So are there any common mistakes that you see marketers making that they should avoid in 2025?
I'm going to be a little funny here, but y'all, we talk too much as marketers. We get really stuck in our heads about all kinds of things. The most critical thing we can do right now for any business is take action, and swiftly, but action that is well informed by strategy and is guided by goals and that sort of stuff. I mean, I see some of y'all out there making all kinds of promises, talking about how you're going to give folks the moon, and then you give them the moon, but you're not getting results because you gave them the moon because Google sees you're trying to just play the system as much as possible so your content doesn't get credit because you're mass producing. It doesn't work, y'all. We got to slow down a little bit, leverage tools on the efficiency side, and then execute against whatever the strategy dictates without trying to cheat. There's no cheating. You can't cheat. There's no secret. There's no secret sauce. There's no cheat. There's no guarantees. It is consistent, hard work, day in, day out, that can be made more efficient by leveraging tools and some of the things we've been discussing. So that's the main thing. Like, slow down, y'all. Breathe. It's gonna be okay. Like, we just like, come on. It's fine. We don't gotta write 27 pages of content a month. That's not gonna do it. You're not gonna win. You're gonna get temporary gains. You gotta think long term. You gotta slow down.
And now, Michael, I'm going to direct this question at you. If you are just starting your career in marketing, what advice would you give to a marketer who is just beginning their career?
I'll keep it short. I know we got like 10 minutes left, and Tricia and possibly some Q&A. So number one, be hungry, because there's 100,000 other digital marketers out there that are just as hungry, if not more hungry than you. And that's what wins in this game. So if you want to be successful, and you really want to be the best digital marketer in the world, you got to be hungrier than them. And that's it. So I couldn't stress on how much that bullet point means, because if you love it and if you're hungry, the sky's the limit for you as far as what you can learn, how you can grow, and really what you can achieve. So just number one, be hungry and stay hungry. Once you think you've hit a point, we all get comfortable. If you get comfortable, then you're in trouble, because there's 100,000 other marketers out there that are going to pass you. So don't get comfortable after you feel you've hit a certain point. But the second thing I'll say here is find something you love and go all in. If you love SEO, if you love data, if you love AI, just learn every single thing you can about it and just go all in, because that you're quickly going to become one of the top 10% most intelligent people in that space. And if you keep pushing yourself, you're going to become one of the top 1% most intelligent people in that space. And eventually you're going to be the top person in that space. So if you're hungry and you love it, really the sky's the limit, in my opinion. So those would be my two general tips on, how to break into the industry and not only succeed, but, be a force to be reckoned with, become a Rand Fishkin or whoever you want. Sky's the limit.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And Tricia, with all that's going on, everything's go, 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 go. How do you stay ahead of the curve in such a fast-paced industry?
Oh, man. Well, I have been in this industry 20 years and I've never been comfortable. So to Michael's point, I eat coffee. Copious amounts of coffee are helpful. I would say you have to be constantly learning, right? That's one of the reasons I'm in this industry and I've stayed in this industry, is because it never gets boring. It's always changing. I'm always growing myself in this space. So I think where people get into trouble, though, is that they try to learn everything all at once, right? And so kind of to harken on Michael's point, find the thing that you're excited about, right? So let's just, I can't tell you how many clients over the years have come to us and said to me, Tricia, we have a Facebook account, we have a LinkedIn account, we have a YouTube account, we've got a TikTok, a Snapchat, but we can't keep up with all of it. And we want to do it all. I'm like, no, that's the fastest way to do it wrong, because you're not going to succeed on any of those channels if you do it that way. You got to figure out where your customer is, where your lane is, and then focus on that and get really, really good at that. And then add to that, right? So with AI, think about it in terms of how it will make your life easier, your professional life easier. And then the things you're directly responsible for, how does it make their lives easier? So hearken to the tools that make sense. Learn those first. Acclimate to those things first for yourself. You'll be a better steward of advising in those spaces, and also then moving into other tools. And you'll find the more you learn, the more you're able to navigate those new things and assess whether they're right for you or not. You'll find that, in my experience, because AI, it's overwhelming. There's a lot going on in that space, and you just can't take it all in. So in the spaces that I've been playing around to make my professional life easier, I have found ones that I love that always deliver what I'm looking for and that keep learning me along the way. And then there's ones where I'm like, yeah, you're not there yet. Yeah, I'm still going to play with you. I'm still, because I got to know how to tell people about you. But, you'll be able to navigate that space much more easily. So approach learning with patience, to kind of point back to Jason Wright's thing. Patience, really just get to know it, dig in deep, and then move into the next thing and just continue to learn.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing. Right now, that's all the questions that I have. However, I'm going to just open the floor. If anyone has any last minute things they would like to add, to share, if anyone who's watching right now has any questions, now's the perfect time to shoot them over so we can have our experts answer them for you.
Yeah, I you said something, Tricia, and I don't know what it was specifically, but you just made me think of the fact that we haven't spent a lot of time talking about measurement. So we could do all kinds of things all day long, every week, of every month, of every year. We got to measure. We got to understand the attribution. I think Michael was touching on that earlier. But you got to measure. Is it working? Is it not working? Those 5 pieces that you posted to the website, did they actually do anything? Are they long game pieces, meaning they need to sit for 6 to 12 months? To build some credibility? Like, what does that look like? What does success look like? How you're measuring that, and how you're changing your tactics as a result to get better placements, better conversions, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I was thinking about something too from earlier in the discussion. I think the question was to Jason about, how do smaller businesses with tight budgets succeed in this space, right? Because it is very expensive, and for mid and large brands, that's a non-issue. They've got a budget for it. That's just making the right decision about who to partner with. But for smaller businesses or startups, that you're on your own. So there's some things that you can invest in that don't take a lot of time or money, and so local listings is a really important visibility space for if you're providing a service that people come to, like you have a brick and mortar, you're in a physical location, and you can, Web4's blog has plenty of resources around this with advice on how to navigate things. It's not that hard, but it does require your attention, right? Interacting with your customers and getting them to do reviews, like really investing the time it takes to nurture the things that don't cost money, but do require time. And that can be hard for small businesses to find too. So that's something that I wanted to mention.
All right, and I'm not seeing any questions coming in on the chat, so we just have a couple more minutes if anyone has anything else they want to add before we wrap this up. It's been wonderful, so much great information being shared. I could watch this over and over. There was a lot. So thank you guys for sharing all that.
Thank you.
I would just say,
I think I'm good on. Oh,
I would just say as a parting statement, regardless of the side you're on, either business owner, operator, or marketing professional, just stay positive. The next few years are going to be interesting in our space as technology changes. It's going to be interesting for businesses, see how they adapt to economic changes. So just stay positive and keep fighting, and don't quit, because what you want is on the other side of that friction that you're facing.
All right. Well, with that, unless anyone has anything else to add, we're good.
I think I'm good.
All right. On that, it's a wrap. Wanted to say a huge thank you to our incredible panelists and everyone who joined us watching today for the discussion. We've covered a bunch of stuff. So, from takeaways from 2024, future trends, actionable insights, help you stay ahead. So, keep the conversation going. Reach out to Web4 and, let's see what we can help you with. We love to help see business grow and succeed. So appreciate all of your time.
Would love to answer any questions. If we didn't get something in the panel, feel free to drop us questions, and we're here to follow up. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Aubrey. You did amazing.
Yes, thank you, Aubrey.
Yeah, thank you all.
Have a great day.